Hi you guys, this is Jamie with Whatever's Clever Boutique, and today's tutorial is going to be a little bit longer, so go grab some coffee, grab a snack, and buckle up and let's get started on this template tumbler tutorial. Now everything I used is going to be listed and linked in the description box below, but we're going to start with this template from the Vinyl Cottage. I actually got this pack of templates from Vinyl Cottage at TumblerCon, but she also has them on her website. So it is this pack of a bunch of different patterned vinyl templates that are pre-cut, ready for you to use. So I went ahead and just took the template and I weeded out that outer border. Then I'm going to take a piece of transfer tape and I'm just going to cut it to size and then lay it over that template so that it's ready to lay on the tumbler. And of course, another perfect use for my big Bowen squeegee. This thing is amazing for vinyl wraps and really anything that is of larger scale for tumbler making. So we're going to go ahead and apply this now to our 20-ounce Skinny Prepped from Craft Haven. And I'm going to go ahead and start by just trimming off all of that excess. That way I can see when I go to lay this on the tumbler the entire piece of vinyl without any excess. So I go ahead and lay this around the tumbler, get it lined up, and I very quickly realize that it's a little bit short. So no problem at all. I'm rolling with it. I'm just going to go ahead and apply it with my big squeegee. And then I'm going to attempt to figure out how to make it work. So I go to lay it down here and I second guess myself and I start to pull it back off, thinking I can get this all off in one fell swoop. And then I start seeing pieces that are still stuck to the tumbler. So I just went ahead and ran with it. So I finished laying this on the tumbler, removed that transfer tape, and then I'm actually going to manually manipulate each piece on that seam. And I'll show you what that means here in just a second. So to start, with the center diamond, this is pretty easy to pull up and just shift inward a little bit so that the two seams meet. This piece is small enough that I was able to do that with, no challenge at all whatsoever. It's when we get to the other pieces, and Vinyl Cottage vinyl is amazing because you can pull and really try to manipulate the vinyl itself without it warping or losing color or anything like that. So after I used my X-Acto knife to clean that rim, I kind of pulled up each piece and stretched it just a little bit on both sides to get them to meet up. So again here, I'm going to take one of those pieces and just hold with my finger down toward the base, and then I slowly pull to stretch that vinyl just a little bit to make them meet. And this worked flawlessly. So if you do buy these templates and they don't happen to perfectly fit your tumbler, it's okay. It might be one extra step, but it worked perfectly. And look at that seam. No one would even know we had a mild panic attack when we wrapped it on the tumbler. So today we're going to use High Tide, Savior, and Nessie from Peachy Olive Glitters. These are the glitters I chose. just based off of the colors that were in the vinyl itself. For this template, I will say I could not find any examples of this pattern name, if you will. I mean, I Googled, I searched the Kellen Grace, who was the designer of this for the vinyl cottage, and I couldn't find examples anywhere. So I'm just willy-nilly pulling things off here and really hoping that it worked out, which it did. It turned out beautifully, but I am such a perfectionist that kind of flying, by the seat of my pants here really made me uncomfortable. So anyone who's a crafter like myself, you probably know exactly what I'm saying. I will say this took me quite some time because in between each pull, I would sit and I would look and try and determine what else I wanted to pull that was going to be in that color that might look like it was supposed to be that way, and no one would know that I just kind of guessed. For the ones that I pulled first, we're going to go ahead and take Nessie, and I just used a teal or turquoise acrylic paint from Arteza, and I just painted that right on those exposed areas of the tumbler that we pulled the vinyl up from. And I will say I don't have a super steady hand. This was very hard for me. My lines were not very straight. We will absolutely be going in with pinstriping to cover up all of my flaws here. But I mean, the goal is to get the glitter on there, and then like I said, you can take pinstriping and make it look beautiful. So here I am just laying all of that glitter and kind of tapping off in between. And then I'm just going to keep going until all of those sections are painted and glittered in the teal. Now, once we get all that glitter laid, we're going to take a chip brush here, a small one, and we're just going to brush off all of that excess glitter. You don't want that to contaminate any of your other glitter areas, and it just makes it so much easier to work with if it's clean. So I just took the time in between each glitter color to brush off all of that excess. Once we get that all brushed off, we're going to tap off with our scissors one more time on the top rim there to make sure anything that loosened up fell off that tumbler. Now I'm going to go in again, like I said, and just start pulling any of the spots that I think that I want blue, and I'm going to expose that tumbler so we can go ahead and paint and glitter those spots. And with this blue paint, I really did not get the coverage that I would have wanted with it. So as you'll see here in a bit, I do go back in after I finish all of the blue sections, and I do one more coat of that paint with the glitter. Now, like I said, I'm just going to go directly back in over that blue glitter, and I'm going to just repaint. And I generally would use a glitter glue or Mod Podge here. I don't really know what I was thinking. I just went back in with the paint. I mean, it was pretty transparent anyway, so it probably didn't make that big of a difference or issue, I should say, but I just went back in and then re-sprinkled that glitter on there, and I got much better coverage this second coat. again, once we get that all applied, we're going to go ahead back in with our chip brush and get all of that excess glitter off the tumbler. Now we're going to go ahead and remove the sections that we're going to want purple. And we're going to go in and same as the others, we're going to paint in that area and sprinkle on our purple glitter. I decided that I needed one more color, so I took Dreamer from Peachy Olive Glitters because I still had a lot of excess vinyl that needed pulled. So I went ahead and pulled the sections that I wanted that Dreamer to go, and I used a red base here. I couldn't find a pink that was dark enough, so red worked great. And I just painted in those sections red, and I'm going to take that Dreamer glitter and sprinkle it right over top. And there is what we have. And I do love the way this turned out. I was very nervous while doing so because I didn't have any guidance on what sections to pull and when. And in looking at it, I did decide to pull that center diamond and to make it blue because on this side you really couldn't see much of the blue glitter. So that was a way for me to tie in the blue on this side. And once we get all of our glitter dusted off, we're going to go in with 3 coats of Rust-Oleum Triple Thick Glaze Spray, and then we're going to go in with 2 coats of KSRESIN Liquidy Split Ultra UV Epoxy. Once we get those 2 coats on, we're going to go ahead and clean that rim off. We have a lot of paint and glitter and epoxy, so generally I just do this step at the end, but for this tumbler, I went ahead and did it twice. So this is the first time. We're going to go ahead and clean that rim, sand down with an 80 grit sanding block to rough up any of those pieces of glitter that may be sticking up. And then we're going to go in with our 220 grit sanding block to really smooth that rim out. Once we have that rim smoothed out, we're going to go ahead and go over the tumbler and knock down any of those glitter pieces that will make our pinstriping a hassle. And we don't want that. We're going to use a metallic pinstriping, so we want a smooth and flawless lay with that pinstriping. Now we're going to go ahead and spray our tumbler with some 91% alcohol and then get all of that excess dust and alcohol off that tumbler. For the bottom, in hindsight, I probably should have just glittered this purple, but I decided to get crazy and attempt a foil on the bottom. And I do like in the end how it turned out, but again, this caused me some stress as well. I am a perfectionist and I did not get a perfect lay with my foil. So as you see here, I am going to go ahead and base paint the bottom of our tumbler with purple. And then I'm going to go ahead and take my Wicked Stick It which is going to be my adhesive for the foil, and I'm just going to pour a little tiny bit of that onto the bottom of the tumbler and then smooth that all across the bottom, being sure to get even coverage. And once that dries, I'm going to take my purple foil from Southern Belle Glitter. I am not entirely sure the name, but I will find it and list it down below. And I just try and smooth that foil as best as I can across that bottom of the tumbler. And as you can see, I had a lot of bare spots. It just did not want to stick. So I just kept trying to get as much as I could off of there. And then by off of there, I mean off of the foil sheet onto the bottom of the cup. And then I pulled that tape. And now I'm going to take this grape mica from KSRESIN, and I'm just going to rub it all over that bottom to fill in all of those spots that didn't get any foil. And it's going to leave a shimmer all over those sections to give it kind of a distressed shimmery look. And I do like the way it turned out. Like I said, it was hard for me because I'm such a perfectionist that I was like, oh my gosh, this is not what I wanted, but it ended up turning out really good. So once we got that done, now we're going to go in with our pinstriping. And I use this, it's almost like a champagne colored, I think it's actually nail tape. So there's a really, really skinny nail tape, and then there is this size in between, and then there's a bigger size after this. So this is the middle size of the nail tape. And I am just going to follow each section with this nail tape. And you really want to take the time here to be sure you're laying it correctly, not laying it partially down a glitter line. And I'll show you what that means here in a bit, because I did mess up and have to pull some because I didn't go the extent of the full glitter line that I should have. So like for this one, I'm going to start at the bottom of the pink because that is the furthest down on that seam, if that makes sense. So to try and articulate it better, I didn't start at the bottom of the blue like I am here because that is the furthest down on that seam. Now I'm moving over to the green where it goes down a little bit lower, and then again the other side of the green. Here's where I make the mistake. See, I start at that purple line there without realizing that the blue is actually the line that goes down the furthest. So right here, I realize, oh shoot, I should have kept going with the nail tape, and I end up pulling it back up. See, I should have followed that blue line all the way down. And now I go ahead and take it and pull it down to the very bottom where it should have gone the first time. But luckily this was the only time that I made this mistake, so I didn't waste too much nail tape. But you do really want to take notice of where you want those lines to start and end. This process did take me quite some time. I want to say it took me a good 20 plus minutes to get this all laid down, but it was stunning once we got it all laid. And of course, you want to go in with 2 coats of Quick Coat, not just one, 2 so that none of that pinstriping lifts. And once you get that quick coat on, you're going to go in with 1 coat of epoxy, and then we're going to go ahead and do our final rim cleaning. I'm sorry I did not get the epoxy step on video, but I've showed you a whole bunch in the past, so hopefully it's okay that we skipped that. So we're just going to go ahead and clean that rim again, and then we are going to go in with our final 2 coats of epoxy to finish off this tumbler. And I absolutely love this color combination. I will say it took me quite some time to figure out what color pinstriping to use because so many options I thought would look just stunning. But ultimately I settled on this champagne-y color and I love it. I hope you guys had so much fun watching. I know it was a long tutorial, but I'll have everything listed and linked in the description box below, and I will see you again next week. Bye.